And welcome to today's meditation. We are jamming with the construct of the Metatron. And today's title is The Keeper of Secrets. We're going to continue with the same format of just diving into what has led us here today and what this particular title, um, it's loaded, right? It's a keeper of secrets, and how many secrets are there out there that are now available at our fingertips. I think the title was very fitting as Metatron made his ascension, or I'm sorry, Enoch made his ascension journey to becoming the Metatron. It was said that, as he who was most faithful, he did his tour, he made the journey, did his tour through the density, saw the greatest degrees of density, became the chosen one, ascending out of the density and through the different stages of heaven. He was taken through the different stages of heaven, the different gates, if you will, only to arrive at in front of God, amongst the host of angels, and to be given the title of the Metatron. I understand, as you have learned through jamming with me over the years, or even just in this series, the Metatron is like a neural network. It's a hub in the cloud, if you will, one of many. In particular, when we start referring to the Metatron, we're talking about the 72 minds, creator beings, if you will, that came together to converge to create the current construct of Earth, and humanity as we know it. There's a whole lot of mystery and school teaching, mythology, not mystery, also mystery, but mythology around what that looks like and feels like. And it weaves in partially to being the keeper of secrets. But in this case, as we understand, especially in the advent of our current lineage and what we are up to today, our current consciousness, along with the lineage that we have inherited to be living here today in this incredible matrix and world and environment, we have most of the secrets at our fingertips. Things that you used to, if you wanted to pursue it, you would join a particular religious group to go deeper into the teachings, into the understandings. If you wanted to, if your soul was feeling that compulsion and that call, then you would most likely incarnate in a certain area or sector of the world where certain teachings were being brought to the surface. In the Rosicrucian lineage, it's taught that there was a general gnosis, an full embodied gnosis of the teachings that were known as the Michaelaic teachings, referencing Archangel Michael, he keeping all of the teachings, which then, as the dissemination of consciousness or the understanding of what our mind was truly capable of, disintegrated or came into greater degrees of density, where we moved from collective thinking to much more individual thinking, that then diffused out around the world. And we arrive at where we are today, which is teachings from the Himalayas, teachings from the Hindus, from the Greek lineage, from the Egyptian, right? And each teaching, each body, each area of the world was granted this particular aspect from this body of work known as the general gnosis. So it's important to understand, when we're talking about the Metatron, that is the keeper of this entire general gnosis, right? We're going to be talking about another title of the sacred scribe, probably next week. Yes, next week. It's important to understand where we fit in this trajectory of this evolution of consciousness, because here we are, and unlike even humans that were doing their spiritual path 5 years ago, we have things and access available on our phones instantly. And they can be secrets and wisdoms and bodies of knowledge that many would have taken hundreds of years, if not hundreds of lifetimes, to master and perform. And so when you pick up the phone and you read some bit of wisdom that is definitely an ancient secret, if you will. You're essentially adapting because of past lifetimes. You've already embodied that body of wisdom. Your soul has already embraced it and mastered it. And that's why you're able to pick up on it. Otherwise, much like other things we read when we're in this state of learning, we read it and we miss it. And then maybe a month later, you come back around to it and you're like, oh my God, how did I not see this? Right? This is how this is happening, because in this lifetime, you're acquiring that body of knowledge. And so it's important to recognize that humanity and how we arrived here was not only this gnosis. Some of us, all of us have assembled certain, especially if you're here in this recording, all of us have assembled a certain aspect, a certain level, a certain capacity, but also we have this ability to gain access to all of it. We are not just single tracking ourselves into one body of work. The current spiritual consciousness is really guiding us to learn in much more of a what's known as a hermetic capacity, adapting all of the types of teachings to form our own spiritual consciousness, to identify the highest and best, or the meta, within the spiritual teachings that is relevant for us. So what is it that I could, as I was reflecting on today's work, what it is that we're coming to understand, if you will, as the greatest meta of the secrets? What is the greatest secret? And I think for you, it's going to seem like an obvious one. To me, yes, there are a lot of deep mystery secrets, but for me, as I look at the collective whole and who you each are identifying as individuals, it's recognizing that you aren't just human. And I know that seems obvious in a space like this, but we really get to embody and embrace all of the different elements of what that could mean. And so when humanity was before humanity adapted the linear thought, and this is the piece I want to speak to. And actually, we're going to start our meditation now. I want to have you close your eyes as I start to weave in what the greatest secret is. Nice deep breath in and big exhale, closing your eyes if they are not already. And I want you to feel yourself in your human form. And there was a time in which humanity had not embraced what it meant to be the individual. Because our etheric body stretched so far beyond into the collective field. Our etheric body was not all the way embodied. So give yourself a moment as though you're unleashing, unlocking, or unlatching a hook and allowing that etheric body, like a balloon, to pop open, to spring free. Another nice deep breath in. As it springs free, you feel yourself connecting to that golden light of the sun and to the earth beneath your feet. So there was a time for humanity when we were not fully embodied as the individual, when we were still connected to the collective. And not only did that mean that our capacity and our skills were much more oriented to, or what we would consider to be advanced today, but at the time would have just been part of the process. Our etheric body was much more expanded as well. And so as we, over the years, over the millennia, over the centuries, condensed into more solid form, we became less and less connected and identified with our current material form. But think about that for a moment as you allow yourself now to go back out to that expanded connection to the collective. Think about that. Nice deep breath in. Your sense of identity was that of something and someone that was a greater whole. It would have been synced up. to your tribe. It would have been synced up to the community in which you lived. More importantly, it would have been synced up to nature and to the elements, because you were not separate from nature. You were not separate from the elements. You could inherently feel the fire burning in the fireplace, burning simultaneously in your heart and in all the other hearts surrounding you. You could inherently feel the fires burning within the earth. And so there were many initiates of that time that could even wield the fires of the earth and could wield the waters and the earth and the air, harnessing, creating storms, maybe making certain sacrifices to shift fields to allow the rains to come. I want you in this moment to allow yourself to remember those aspects of who and what you are in that time. And we're going to come back to it. I want you to come back into the density. And imagine now having those gifts and condensing them into form, into a logical and linear form. Imagine collapsing that entire field to fit within your brain space and your brain capacity within the construct of your mind. And for you now, it may feel like we're shoving something into the suitcase that doesn't quite want to fit. And that is where I invite you to turn on your Metatronic mind, imagining that light bulb in the center, activating and feeling that remembrance and that wisdom fitting easily and gracefully with all of the other constructs in which you harness and hold in your mind. For the linear thought, the understanding of if this, then that, and how you were able to manipulate fire, how you were able to move the waters or sense the emotions in the entire collective field, all of that, you didn't know how. There wasn't that individualized ability to be unique, to roll it over, to contemplate, to maybe even bring it into form of your own free will versus the collective free will. And so in the next inhale and exhale, go ahead and breathe it in and allow yourself to expand back out now to those memories. Imagine yourself feeling the flow and the currents of the waters, feeling the flow and the currents of the air, and really expand. Let yourself not only feel the oceans of the entire earth, but the winds that rise and fall across them as they meet land, as they rise above the mountains and descend, whipping across the plains. Stretch into the room in the moment and the environment around you and hear the wind coming before it has arrived. You see, these are all centers of our brain that we don't pay attention much to, yet are there. And just like any ritual or exercise, whether it be learning to write or learning a new language, we have the language of light living within us, a center within the brain waiting to be remembered, to have the cobwebs cleared and turned on again. And so we had many gifts beyond harnessing the elements. We had the ability to harness the earth and mold it into creation and into form, to work with it, to understand how to infuse light into it to cause new things to grow. And we had the ability to harness the fires, not only of the earth, but within the heart, in the heart and the soul flames. And with that came the ability of understanding the dimensions. And so as you toggle, breathing in the new light and expansive consciousness, exhaling out the old, as you toggle between the two, we find ourselves at that juncture of understanding the construct for the dimensions, of understanding the different capacities for our thought. For now, we find ourselves in our human form. We are within the etheric body. The etheric body is almost wholly contained within the human form. But I want you to fast forward in the construct of consciousness. Let's go 5 years. 5 years out, and envision humanity since the pandemic and the spiritual shifts, the energetic openings that have occurred. Imagine how much more will be happening, how much more comfortable your etheric field will be expanding beyond the body. And as it expands, it begins to connect to the multiple dimensions, not only the dimension of the physical body and the emotional body and the thinking body, each harnessing the different, as are taught in the Eastern Chinese practices as the Dantian, the upper, the middle, and the lower. We have the capacity as we gaze future forward in seeing humanity more expanded, the etheric bodies more open. And as we observe ourselves with an etheric body that is just not inherently caught in the physical form, but is expanded beyond, we begin to recognize that within the collective, prior to the descension and condensation process into density, into our individual form, we would have been able to see through the dimensions and the realms. We would have been able to connect to the light beings, the angels, the Michaels, the Gnosis. We would have had, much like the cloud functions today, and through our phone, we can tap any body of wisdom. We as mankind, as humankind, as womankind, have recreated the collective. And so now it is our turn to use those metaphors and take our etheric and our energy bodies and allow them to expand in what we have brought into form, into the etheric realm. And it is here that we become the Metatron. It is here that we understand that, like the cloud, we are one of the carriers and harnessers of light. And so I want to have you now tap into what that looks like and feels like by breathing into that fire that we were harnessing within our hearts. And go ahead and imagine turning it inside out. Imagine as though your energy body is this field of light that can be inverted like a sock pulled inside out. And for the mind that is stuck in the linear form, this is a simple toggle of imagining turning the light switch on or off, or pushing your hand through a sock that is light on the outside and then reaching in as though you're reaching into the darkness under the surface, under the water, but then allowing your mind to drop into that density. I think that this secondarily is probably the greatest secret, what I call the inversion, the ability to see all things in their opposite and true form. For as we embrace what it means to harness the light, it means we also embrace what it means to harness the darkness. And yes, that could be shadow and all of the current traumatic constructs that we work within. But from our expanded capacity, we begin to recognize that darkness is just creation force lying dormant, a power waiting to be harnessed, waiting to be molded and explored and infused with fire, infused with light that comes from you, a creator's ability. You, as you harness your metatronic constructs within your mind, breathing in and out. You are the Metatron, the keeper of secrets. And your journey here in this lifetime is to explore and expand, to take all of the wisdom that you harness on the front end that you find at your fingertips and to invert it, to look for the other side of the coin, to explore what the opposite is true may mean. For then, and only then, will you be able to embody within the density the greatest degree and capacity for light. For you are the light and the dark. You are the creator of both. And while the light feels most new to us, and we get the greatest spiritual highs when we can soar upon it and allow it to course through our bodies, we also have this ability to harness it, not only through the mental construct, the upper dantian, through our heart body, the mid, but through our root source creation force. As you hold this energy in your fields, let yourself rise out of the darkness again and into the light, envisioning that Metatronic ray, that diamond ray, burning brightly within your mind's eye, within your construct. While we have learned the gift of linear thinking and the if-then construct and how the creation comes to form, what we get to re-immerse ourselves into is that this world spins, the emotions in your body spin. Everything is a spinning vectoral force that brings us into a vortex of energy that captures this light in the form of your physical body. Begin to allow yourself to think outside of the box, outside of the linear constructs. Let yourself harness the light and the darkness equally. As you feel yourself now, not only seated in the body, but also harnessing the dimensions of light. Let yourself now rise above to the sunshine, to the astral plane, where we came through the dimensions of the physical and the mental and the emotional. And then there's the spiritual body, the etheric, where we bring it all together. There is the astral plane, where we tap into the collective. And then there is the field of unification. Let yourself soar through the astral plane, finding your angels and your guides. Maybe you see them as multiple converging into one, or you see them as one converging into many as you come into the unified plane. For it is through this plane and what makes you unique as human that you are able to comprehend, connect to, work with each of these dimensional realms. Another great secret. First secret, you are light, you are a creator being. Second secret, inversion. Third secret, all of the dimensions are harnessed within your body. You are a fragmented aspect of the unified field, but being a fragmented aspect of the unified field means you harness each of the aspects of the unified field within you. You harness the unified field, you harness the astral plane, you harness the emotional body, and so on and so forth. And so it is that you are able to reestablish unity consciousness and connection. You're able to tap into what we have created in the cloud through our phones and computers. You are able to tap into it through the sacred, through the spiritual. And not only are you able to do that, but you are able to harness all of the lifetimes you have spent becoming the embodiment of the reunification of the Gnosis, the book of Gnosis, the Michaelic teaching, the Metatronic teaching into one. And no, it won't all be in this lifetime. However, this is a new construct. What is unique about you as you pursue this meditation is this is a new construct for humanity. You are forging it here and now. The ability to harness it all within your body, for your body to be in the physical form and expand back out to the full connection of the etheric realm. Remember, I said as humanity began its condensation process, it came into form, into the full scope of the human being, so that the brain could form to its advanced capacity. We did not hold or harbor that advanced capacity for strategic and linear and analytical thinking outside of creation. We were too immature, if you will. Like a toddler learning to walk, you would never let them loose and run down the street without supervision. So too has humanity been making this journey, learning how to wield the construct of the mind, of creation. And so the construct that the stories and the mythologies were told were through the lens of a different form, a different neurological structure than what you are housing within your mind today. It is up to you to forge this path of light, not by your deeds and actions alone, but by simply your focus in allowing your mind to embrace the Metatronic field. Much like a teenager, we're being given our independence, the ability to wield this light, to understand the thinking constructs and to take and observe all of the teachings, all of what were deemed the secrets. We're being given permission to find those secrets on our own. And so, keeper of secrets, welcome to this new era, this new epic, this new chapter in the evolution of consciousness and the evolution of the human mind and the human soul body. Welcome, light being. I invite you now to come all the way into your body without constricting the etheric into the physical. Let your etheric hang out today. Let it be open and expansive. And when you feel yourself reading another person or being beyond what you would normally want to take in, those intuitive pesky hits that you get when you're out in public, let yourself respond to it in a different way. Let yourself maybe feel it for a moment and then just change focus. The only reason why we get loud hits on humanity when we are really open is because humanity is the loudest. Shift your focus in that moment to the earth or to the waters or to the air or the fires. Tune up and tune in to a new part of your brain. Give it some airtime. Let the etheric play out there. Let your mind play out there, and the etheric expanded beyond your physical form. As you come into your heart, as you come into the waters of your being, as you come into your fire, as you feel your bones and your skin and the tactile, as you allow your breath to pass over your lips. Amen, Ashi,